How true love is tested. When great sacrifices are demanded from so called lovers, 99% of them flee. The reality is that they mistake temporary emotions for eternal devotion. Baba Ishfaq Ahmad once shared an incident to illustrate this concept. He narrated that he attended a shrine festival atop a mountain where hundreds of disciples had pitched their tents. The grand saint's tent was at the peak. When someone praised the large number of followers, the saint remarked, I have only 1.5 true disciples. To demonstrate, he conducted a test. The saint ordered two goats to be brought into his tent and announced outside that each disciple would be sacrificed one by one. To ensure the illusion, the goats' mouths were tied shut so their cries wouldn't escape. One by one, the saint called for volunteers to enter the tent. The first man went in, and the saint gestured for him to sit down before slaughtering a goat. The god's blood flowed down the slope of the mountain, visible to those outside. Seeing this, many disciples began to leave. The saint emerged with a blood-stained knife and asked for the next volunteer. Another man stepped forward, and the second goat was sacrificed, its blood also trickling down the slope. By the time the saint came out to call for the third disciple, the area was deserted. Everyone has fled except the two who had already entered. The saint explained, the first disciple doubted but still stepped forward, so he is half a disciple. The second was certain of his sacrifice and still came forward, making him a complete disciple. This story highlights that when true sacrifice is demanded, false lovers disappear. Genuine love, however, persists even in the face of death and says, the life I gave was never mine. True justice to that gift was never done. An old saying echoes this sentiment. Laila once sent sweets to her beloved Majnu through a servant. When the servant arrived, he found many false lovers gathered there, each claiming to be the real Majnu. Confused, the servant returned to Laila, who advised him to announce that she required a few bottles of blood from her lover. The one who offered without hesitation would reveal himself as the true Majnu. Spiritual healers often suggest that to overcome a minor addiction, one must be introduced to a more intense one. For instance, a cannabis addict may leave the drug if introduced to alcohol. Similarly, worldly power and divine love are also considered forms of addiction. If the patient is materialistic, granting them power over a region might make them abandon lesser obsessions. However, if both the patient and the healer are spiritually inclined, the healer may redirect the patient's infatuation from material love to divine love. Once someone experiences the ecstasy of divine love, they forget the allure of worldly attachments, as a greater addiction always overshadows a lesser one. The ultimate cure for divine love lies in union with the beloved. Yet, in many cases, remaining in a state of love is itself considered a divine reward. As the poet Ghalib eloquently puts it, if one were asked to my heart about the torment of your half drawn arrow, would it act this way if it had truly pierced through my soul?